The Genesis story of creation is found in the first book of the Bible, Genesis, specifically in chapters 1 and 2. It describes how God created the heavens, the earth, and all life within 6 days and rested on the seventh. Here's a summary of the two creation accounts. Day 1, God creates light, separating it from darkness, day and night. Day 2, God creates the sky, firmament, to separate the waters above from the waters below. Day 3, God gathers the waters to form seas and dry land appears. He creates vegetation, plants and trees. Day 4, God creates the sun, moon, and stars to give light and mark time, days, seasons, and years. Day 5, God creates sea creatures and birds. Day 6, God creates land animals and mankind in his image, giving humans dominion over the earth. Day 7, God rests, blessing and sanctifying the seventh day as a day of rest. This second account focuses specifically on the creation of man and woman. God forms Adam from the dust and breathes life into him. God places Adam in the Garden of Eden and commands him not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Seeing that Adam is alone, God creates animals but none are a suitable companion. God then creates Eve from Adam's rib, establishing the first human relationship. The two accounts complement each other. The first gives a structured overview of creation, while the second zooms in on human life and relationships. The Genesis account of creation has been interpreted in various ways by different religious traditions, scholars, and theologians. God as creator. Genesis presents God as the ultimate creator, bringing order out of chaos. Creation is good. Each stage of creation is declared good, emphasizing that the world was made with purpose and order. Human beings in God's image. Humans are uniquely created in God's image, imago Dei, meaning they have dignity, reason, moral responsibility, and the ability to form relationships. Sabbath rest. The seventh day, when God rests, establishes the importance of rest and worship. Though both chapters describe creation, they differ in focus. Genesis chapter 1 is structured, poetic, and emphasizes God's sovereignty and order. Genesis chapter 2 is more personal, detailing human relationships and the Garden of Eden. Some scholars believe these accounts come from different traditions within ancient Israelite history and were later compiled together. Literal verses. Symbolic interpretation. Some believe the creation account describes actual 24-hour days. Old Earth creationism. Others argue that the days could represent long periods of time, aligning with scientific evidence. Theistic evolution. Some believe that God guided evolution, seeing Genesis as a theological, rather than scientific, explanation of origins. Symbolic interpretation. Many view Genesis as a poetic or allegorical story that conveys spiritual truths rather than a scientific account. The Genesis creation story has sparked debates about science and faith, particularly regarding the Big Bang theory. Evolution explains the development of life, fossil records, and geological data. Some Christians reconcile Genesis with science, seeing it as a metaphorical or theological account rather than a literal historical record. Adam and Eve's creation in Genesis chapter 2 highlights the importance of relationships, marriage, and human responsibility. The command not to eat from the tree of knowledge introduces the concept of free will and obedience to God. Their later disobedience leads to the fall of man, explaining the origin of sin and suffering in Christian theology. Genesis lays the foundation for the Sabbath, human dignity, and the responsibility to care for creation. The creation story is connected to themes of sin, redemption, and Jesus as the new Adam, who restores humanity. Islam also teaches that Adam was the first man created by Allah, and he lived in paradise before being tested. The Genesis creation story remains one of the most profound narratives in human history. Whether seen as literal or symbolic, it speaks to deep questions about our origins, purpose, and relationship with the divine.